Okay, welcome. It's officially 8:30 p.m. My name's Ron. I'm an alcoholic. How you all doing? A couple quick announcements here. Are you guys aware? I believe it's April 6th in this room, Al-Anon anniversary. It's a Monday night. It's a great thing to come out, be an AA speaker, Al-Anon speaker, free food, right? 39 years. And it will come with a Cadillac Escalade door prize. So get there early, right? Plenty of stuff. We got a Fellowship of the Spirit conference, if you're looking at that. That's May 1st to the 3rd. That's out in New York. If you're interested in that, see us. All these things will be posted in our Facebook group. If you have any other events going on, workshops, anniversaries, please post it in there. Keep everybody connected. With that, it's time for the world's greatest chairperson, brought all the way in from Southern Canada. Let's give Kara a warm welcome.
Good evening, y'all. My name's Kara, and I'm a grateful recovered alcoholic. This is a one-hour speaker meeting that meets every Saturday evening at St. Paul's Lutheran Church, 301 North Main Street, Doylestown, PA. Food and fellowship starts at 8 p.m. and speaker at 8:30 p.m. The business meeting for this group meets every Saturday at 7 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. right here. Please come early and join us. The purpose of this group is to provide a consistent message of hope and recovery through God, reliance, and the service to others through the practice and teachings of the 12 steps. We record all speakers so that others may benefit from their message of recovery. If you wish not to be recorded, simply ask. This is an open meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. The group would like to welcome everyone, especially newcomers. Is there anyone new or from out of town that would like to introduce themselves with their first name? Please raise your hand.
Jake.
Hi, Jake. Welcome.
My name's Tom, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Tom. Welcome. Welcome all. The Conscious Contact Speaker Group encourages sponsorship. Would anyone with the working knowledge of the 12 steps and is willing to sponsor, please raise your hands. Thank you for your service. Are there any announcements for the good of AA?
My name is Jason. I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Jason.
Monday night, 6 p.m., Stay Alive, Step Work, and Literature meeting is right out here in the lobby. Myself, Kara, and this week we have Cherry coming to talk on Step 11. So if you're free and you're looking for some inspiration, some good conversation, please come check us out. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Our sister group is a Big Book study meeting that meets every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. just up the street at Salem UCC Church, 186 East Court Street, Doylestown. Coffee is on at 6:15. We have meeting lists and big books on easy terms. Please see me or any home group member after the meeting. If you cannot afford a big book, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group will give you one at no charge. Anyone willing to make donations for the purpose of the big books to help those who cannot afford them can put donations in the jar on the table marked Big Books and CD Donations. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Doylestown, Pennsylvania, and our Facebook group. Subscribe and share. You can find our speakers there. Join our Facebook page to keep informed, and you can share upcoming events and meetings. Now I would like to introduce a good friend of Conscious Contact. Let's give Thomas a warm welcome. He's going to come up and read Just for Today, Prayer Recovery. Woo!
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Thomas, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Thomas.
Welcome home. This is the Just for Today prayer of recovery. Just for today, I will be agreeable. I will look as well as I can, dress becomingly, talk low, act courteously, criticize not one bit, not find fault with anything, and not try to improve or regulate anybody except myself. And if you would help me welcome up Julian to read the preamble.
AA Preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And now I'm going to ask Jason to come up to read the AA 12 Steps of Recovery.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jason, and I'm also an alcoholic. Welcome home. These are the 12 steps of recovery. Step 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol and that our lives had become unmanageable. Step 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. Step 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Number 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Number 7, humbly ask Him to remove our shortcomings. Number 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. Number 9, made direct amends to such people whenever possible, except when to do so would injure them and others. Number 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Number 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Step 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and practice these principles in all of our affairs. If you could, please help me welcome Miss Kara back to the stage.
Our 7th tradition states every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. At this time, I would like to pass the basket. We have no dues or fees, but we do have expenses. This group provides many services. Your donations cover food, rent, big book CDs, events, and workshops. And guys, please be mindful to zigzag the basket all the way to the back row. Thank you. There is absolutely no smoking on church property. Please take a moment to silence all cell phones and limit movement during the meeting to avoid distractions. Now, I'd like to introduce the speaker. As a good friend of the Conscious Contact Speaker Group, let's give Alyssa H. a warm welcome. She came all the way from the Mountville Speaker Group, which is in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Woo! Woo!
That's fun. I can't remember having this much fun on a Saturday night in a while. I have 2 toddlers, and I'm usually in bed by now. So thanks for an excuse to come out and have a good time with you guys. I appreciate you having me. My name's Alyssa. I'm an alcoholic. Ron just told me there's absolutely no swearing at this meeting, and now I'm a little worried that I won't make the full hour. So I'll do my best. My parents didn't raise me that way, but it's just more fun in my opinion. I'm actually from Doylestown. I came from Mountville Speaker Meeting, which is in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I've been out that way for about 12 years now, I want to say. But I am from here, and it's a little weird, like to come and speak in your home, like you're on hometown turf kind of feeling. Driving through town at night on a Saturday gives you some weird feelings, you know. When I lived here, I was not all that interested in meeting y'all. That is for sure. I stopped by and said hello a few times, I think, to AA. And that's because my mommy and daddy dropped me off and said, you better stay in there that full hour and we'll be back in an hour, and you better be right here on the step when we get back. Which I did because nobody would answer my call and nobody would pick me up and I had nowhere else to be. So that's what I did. At the time, when did this group come into existence? 16 years? Yeah, I was not coming, I did not know about this group. There was not a level of enthusiasm like this that I was aware of. If it did exist, I certainly wasn't looking for it. But I'm really excited to see it and feel it tonight. That's really, really great. And I come from a pocket of enthusiasm just like this one where I live. I got sober in York, Pennsylvania, and you know, there's not many reasons to say you're lucky to have lived in York. I don't know if any of you have been there, but that is one of them. The AA is phenomenal, and I was very, very blessed to have just been dumped there, basically. So I'll get into that a little bit in my story. I'm going to qualify myself quickly. My sobriety date is September 1st, 2012. I have a sponsor. I love her dearly. I sponsor other women in this program. That's a meaningful part of me staying in the center of AA and the community I've built here. I mean, I didn't build it. I just became a part of it. And it's incredibly integral to my daily living. I can't think of more than a handful of friends that I have today that aren't connected to me in some way, shape, or form through these rooms. And that's a beautiful thing. And that's kind of funny too. You know, my husband is quote unquote normal. I mean, he definitely doesn't seem normal to me sometimes, but he doesn't require a 12-step program in order to not let his life burn to the ground. It's really weird. I actually just checked in with him yesterday. I'm like, so just to clarify, you're not going to finish that? And you know, the answer is still no. I don't understand. Those kind of things don't make sense to me. I am not somebody with the ability to take a drink and not finish it, because that just seems wasteful, okay? Like, I'm a conservationist, okay? I care about the environment. I just want to, you know, make sure we're putting it all to good use. But I'm not a person that has the ability to put it down. I'm not a person that has the ability to not pick up a second drink. I'm not really sure when enough is going to be enough for me. And I don't know how that happened or why that happens. I'm not here to debate where alcoholism comes from. I just believe that I'm a person that's felt the malady, the difference, the other than, separate from, fearful, resentful, the horsemen, you know, you name them. I feel like I felt them since I was a kid. So I'll just talk a little bit. Yeah, right, I'm Italian. I'm going to talk until like 9:47. I'll do my best. I was born in Philadelphia, and I'm the oldest of 3 kids. And why do we tell these stories? I mean, man, it doesn't really matter where I came from, but I do think that it is, you know, it paints a little bit of a picture of where I came from. It's a little different because I'm in Doylestown tonight, so I can say I'm a little girl from Doylestown. I wasn't supposed to turn out this way, but when I speak other places, they don't really know what that means. When I say it to you guys, I say, you know, when my parents decided to move our family to Doylestown, I think they did that, as a parent myself now, with probably intention in mind. This is such a cute little town. Is it still a cute little town? Are we still doing cute little things? Okay, good. That's what I like to hear. I really think this is a sweet place. You know, I went to school right up the road at CB West, and you know, there was a fair amount of moving around before I landed here, just for my dad's job. You know, we did a lot of traveling around, but we landed here. And I think my parents did that because this is a safe, nice place to raise a family. And there's nobody in my family that I knew at the time, or really until recently, that would identify as an alcoholic. I don't know if he does identify as an alcoholic now, but I got a strong suspicion. You know, it's not my job to tell anybody or diagnose anybody, but I have a strong suspicion that there are some people in my family that perhaps are. But it wasn't a part of the culture of my family. Even though I am Italian and Jewish, okay, don't ask. There is a lot of fun in those cultures joined together, but there's not a sense of anything other than like, this is like family time, this is tradition, this is a part of what we do to come together as a family. And in fact, I remember my dad pouring me glasses of wine when I was a teenager, and I'm sure that would have been normal for him. He was raised by immigrant parents from Italy, and it's not unusual. And in my mind, I already had an agenda by 16, I was well on my way to the rooms at that time. But I can remember like that being just a fairly insignificant part of family life for us, I come from a family that really wanted and wants the best for me and my siblings. All that to say, my parents did the best they could, and they provided in a lot of ways, and they probably fell short in other ways. Again, I'm a mom. I am not in any way placing alcoholic blame or anything else on my parents. That's just how it goes, Every day I look at my kids and I'm like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that at all. I'm like pretty conscious of what I say and how I act around my children, just because I know how I was raised. I'm really cognizant of the fact that there's a pretty good chance that one of my kids will end up in these rooms, my daughter. And I just want to like protect them, and I try to show them. And so when I say like I didn't get certain things from my parents and I got others from them, there was a lot of chaos that went on there, and that didn't cause my alcoholism, but I certainly did seek to escape from my family life in a lot of ways. And one of those ways was drinking. That's one of the ways I've found to be most effective to escape from that. So, I can remember before I ever even picked up a drink, what that feeling of the spiritual malady does to a young person. It does to a person of any age, but me being maybe, let's say, 8 at the time, what it looks like for me is this. I'm always the new kid, and I'm living in a foreign country at the time, and I get invited to a sleepover, and we all intuitively know, like, you want to get invited to the sleepover. But I'm anxious about it, because I'm an anxious person all the time. I'm anxious right now, by the way, so just give me a little bit to get rolling. And I went to this sleepover, and I knew that's where I was supposed to be intuitively. And I got there, and that feeling was still on me. Like, oh my God, like, I'm not right here either. Like, I thought like I just needed to be here. And I wasn't right there either. So I came up with an elaborate lie to get out of that sleepover. And like, they didn't want to call my mom, but when I lie, like, I really commit, So like, I'll be in the bathroom with like a cup of water, like dumping it into the toilet as I pretend to gag. I'm very, very ill, obviously. You need to call my mother, because I just had this sense of unease that I could not get off me. I need to go home. When I get home, everything's going to be better. I want to feel at home. And what happens is my mom, she comes and picks me up. She brings me home. And that feeling is still there. And I don't know why. I don't know why I'm at home and I don't feel like I'm at home. And that is what alcoholism feels like for me. I am never at home when the spiritual malady is on me. And the beauty is really now is that like the inverse is that without that suffering from the spiritual malady, I feel mostly myself, like I can be myself and at ease and comfortable with people I don't know in any room. And that's with a spiritual solution in my life. But I didn't have that then, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And so it's a really confusing way to grow up. I mean, I think everybody struggles with growing up in their own way, and then you add alcoholism into that. And I mean, it's all the things, right? So like I mentioned my daughter, she's 4 years old. I keep telling my husband, like, I'm saving her a seat. And he's like, you got to stop saying that. She's 4 years old. let me give you a couple examples. Number one, this girl has never sipped a drink in her life, okay? That sippy cup is done in 10 seconds. Concerning, okay? Number two, she is a very anxious kid. I am the parent that must put her to bed every single night. And I'm saying all this to relate it really back to, yeah, she's 4. I know. 4 going on like 45 though, okay? Yeah, she's a wild kid. I don't know where she gets it. She will lay in bed at night, and I'm not allowed to leave the room until she's like fully sleeping, right? I'm a millennial parent, so we have all this guilt, right? We just like lay in the bed next to our kid. And I'm like, is she sleeping? Is she sleeping? I keep looking over, and she's like, cracks one eye open. I'm like, okay, she's not sleeping. 20 minutes go by, she says nothing. I'm like, okay, for sure I can sneak out now. Like, I really want to watch the Love is Blind reunion. Like, I got to get out of here. So I like go to move, and she goes, Mom. And I'm like, yes? And I'm trying to practice principles in all my affairs. I'm like, yes? Yes, my dear. She goes, what are bones made out of? And I'm like, shit, she's an alcoholic. Sorry, Ron. The internet knows what the S word is. It's okay. But like really, it's like that endless cycle of thinking that goes on in our brains. I'll speak for myself. I have a brain that just runs on high all the time. And what happens is eventually, I had moved back here. I can't remember when my first drink was. I'm not even going to pretend like I can. Because it was such a nothing, But the first time I had a meaningful drink, I had already started hanging out with kids that we have this intuition for people that are going to either do something for us or give us something or fulfill a feeling that we're looking for. There was this thing called Smoker's Corner. Does that still exist outside of CB West? Okay. I think it was before that time. I might have made my own Smoker's Corner. All I know is that I was smoking cigarettes, and I absolutely was not supposed to be smoking cigarettes. My mother would smell it on my breath 48 hours later, and it would be the end of the... I'm telling you, my parents did not raise me to be this way. My mom was, stuffing cigarette butts under my pillow at night so that, I would see how disgusting she thought it was. And I was like, where'd you get those? And she's like, where'd you put them? I'm like, okay. Because I can't be honest, there's no, I know I can't be honest about anything. But I met kids that, I could bum a smoke from or, smoke some cigarettes with. And, that was, my first in. And it's funny because, my friends that know me, know that, the cigarettes are, my absolute, my weakness, the bane of my existence. And from the very beginning until today, I can tell you I smoke cigarettes alcoholically. I do everything alcoholically. I cannot consume things that make me feel good in a normal way. I can tell you that right now. And so from the very beginning, that's where it started. And those kids introduced me to a way of living that I was much more excited about than going to piano lessons or taking care of my horse after school or being a good kid that got good grades because I was supposed to. And those were the expectations set for me. I was just really, really intrigued by what I was seeing there. And so the first time I got drunk, my parents left. I don't know what they were doing. But I think at the time they still, I hadn't totally ruined my trust with them yet. Because they left me with my brother, who's 9 years younger than me. So I don't know exactly how old I was, but you got to think he was pretty young and definitely needed full-time caregiving. And I was a young teenager, not capable of giving any caregiving. And it's really, I know, I'm telling you, my perspective today is so different. It's actually sickening to think about this, he was probably 4 or 5. And I'm thinking about what kids are getting into at that age. The first 5 years that I told this story, I didn't even know my brother was there, in this story. I've only learned since that I was there to care for my brother. So that should tell you how little I was doing for him. So I was there babysitting, apparently, and I invited over the guy that I liked and the girl that he liked. and story of my life, man. And I just knew I needed an in there, you know? And we were all so angsty. Oh my God, it was so great. I broke into my parents' liquor cabinet. I say broke into. I mean, I don't think at the time that was really on their radar. And I pulled out the nicest looking bottle, and we all drank some. And I can remember for the very first time in my life feeling like I am in the right place at the right time. I never felt like that before in my life. And you know, I don't know what happened after that. I can't tell you anything else of significance from that, except for that feeling. That's how impactful it was on me in that day. Yeah, it was off to the races after that. I remember what high school looked like, vaguely. Any excuse to have another, because you know, you don't have the same language when you're 15, 16, 17 years old that you that I do now. You know, I didn't have the language, I didn't have the understanding. I didn't really know what was wrong with me. I was starting to get the sense that there might be something a little bit off about me, especially when like I remember I was really good at making certain baked goods, if you know the type, and I thought I had a special knack for it. I think I really did. And I remember baking some. I had a really good idea that I would bake this batch of brownies, and obviously I would like eat half and sell half. I'd do that at high school. That's the best place to find your clientele. So I did that. I ate a few, and I baked, you know, I brought the rest of the baked goods. And then I remember hearing, you know, there's like whisperings around high school. Sometimes they're like, drug dogs, and everybody like freaks, right? And I remember thinking like, can dogs smell it in brownies? Like, I don't know. And I'm already super paranoid. So like, I think a normal person at that moment would have like, either left school or thrown them in a trash can that you couldn't have been affiliated with or something like that. But like in my mind, that's unacceptable. So I just ate the rest. Like there are no alternatives for someone like me. There just are not. Okay. And these are the types of situations I wind up in frequently. It's becoming unmanageable. And at the time, it's like kind of, it is funny now. It was a little intense in the moment. I had to like go to the nurse. She was like, oh my God, are you having like a hemorrhagic stroke? Like, what's going on? I was like, no, I just like, I have a migraine. Like, what's going on? Like, I took a nice little nap in the nurse's office, and then some woman who was my emergency contact from like 1995 came and picked me up because my mom didn't answer. That was like a bug out moment, I can tell you right now. So constant chaos for things like that. And I'm just like skating by, you know? I remember my mom being like the ski club chaperone because like I'm a loser. My mom chaperoning ski club. I'm like, I hate you. Why are you doing this to me? And she came with me, and I could not possibly have a Friday night. Ski club was Friday nights. They'd bus us all up from school. I think this was actually middle school. They'd bus us all up from school to the mountain, and you know, you'd ski or whatever, and then you'd have a check-in time, and you'd come back, and they'd ship you back, and your parents would pick you up or whatever. But my mom, of course, had to be there. And she probably just like wanted to be like a good mom, you know what I mean? But like, I'm like, you idiot, you know, like, why are you here? And of course I wasn't sober, and I remember somebody like distinctly telling me like, hey, they're on to you. And having to have my mom be like humiliated and embarrassed while the teachers like called me back in and like searched my stuff. Like naturally, like I hid it and it was fine. And I got away with it, you know? But just like little chaotic things like that were coming up a lot. But I did well enough in school that, you know, I skated by. One of those things too, that reinforced this idea for me that I had found a solution in alcohol. and by the way, I'm obviously talking about more than alcohol here. I just want to clarify for anybody that might be new or might not have heard it before. It's not what I ingest, it's why I ingest it. And why I ingest it is because I have a spiritual malady. So all these things will try to fix that hole in my soul for me, and they're all temporary solutions. They were all working pretty well at the time. Unfortunately, they don't work for me forever. If they worked for any of you forever, you wouldn't be sitting here. That's my best guess. But I was constantly getting this reinforcement that, like, I have found my solution in drugs and alcohol. It's my answer to living, a perfect formula for what I need to get by. It made me feel like I could function like a real person in society, and I was having less and less control over what I took and how much I took, and I was starting to embarrass myself a lot. But one of the positive times for me was, like I said, I have very smart parents that really expected me to do things with my life, and who could blame them? And the SATs came about, and they expected me to be studying, which I wasn't doing, but I said I was. And I took the SATs 2 times, and I did okay. And then the 3rd time I was like, F it. I'm going loaded. Like, what's the point? Like, who cares? That's how I function best. Like, the big book talks about, like, that being the only normal life we know. And to me, at this point, it was. And I remember taking the SATs the 3rd time with the help of some substances, and I killed it, okay? Like, I killed it. And my parents were so proud of me. Like, they were like, good job. Like, you raised your, like, I was proud of myself. Like, I was like, I'm a genius. Like, I knew I had it in me. And so those are the kind of things that happen. And eventually, because I'm just floating through life with no purpose other than to drink, I just go places that people basically place me, like I'm a person without a purpose. Thank God for this program. Thank God for God, because today I definitely feel, and I know I have a sense of direction and a purpose in this world. It is so unnerving to feel untethered to anything or anyone. And that is how I felt all the time. So I ended up at college because I got dropped off there, basically. My boyfriend was going there, and I was like, okay, whatever. And I got there, and, I victimized my 3 random roommates. I thought I was going to have a great time at Penn State, and I was going to just have a wonderful experience and make good friends. But my alcoholism doesn't allow me to do that. And people start to think it's a little odd, so I always paint the picture by saying I have these 3 roommates that actually grew up together, these 3 adorable girls that came together, and they did coordinated Beyonce dances together, and I'm listening to Smashing Pumpkins and Radiohead in my room with the door shut, and when I do come out, it's because I want to see what you're drinking. And they would sit at the breakfast table in the morning and be reviewing flashcards for class together, and I would be like, can I borrow that? And I'd take it and I'd roll it up. You know what I mean? And they would just be looking at me like this psycho person here. And again, the only normal life I knew, it was starting to become clear to me that people found it off-putting, especially when I started stealing their things and, coming on to their boyfriends when I was drunk or whatever else. I'll keep it PG, right? Okay. So it's not that kind of group. That's okay. I respect it. My sponsor knows all as well. It was fun until it wasn't. And so what I found was that alcohol and drugs that had been the only thing that I could rely on for the last however many years. And I mean, I say that, kind of loosely because, I was 18, so wasn't that long. But I had relied on my happiness, my peace of mind, to come from the availability of the next one. And it becomes harder and harder to get the next one. I have to do worse and worse things to get the next one. I do more and more terrible things when drinking. I'm becoming a person I can't recognize. So this thing that had been my best friend and been what I didn't call then, but now I know was my acting solution to life, which was alcohol, turned on me. And it was the ultimate betrayal. I just couldn't get over that. It's really a heartbreak when you find out that, the very thing that had brought you close to people in your life, alcohol had been a reason to party with people, it had been an excuse to go outside and smoke a bowl with people, a reason to go down to Kensington and hang out with your friends, all the normal social things you do. That very thing that I loved about alcohol was now the complete opposite, right? So now nobody wanted to be around me. Now nobody wanted to take my call. Nobody wanted to hang out with me. I was stealing from my best friend. I was stealing from my parents. But there was one other solution I could tap, and that was a toxic romance, okay? So I made sure to do that because I was running out of solutions, okay? And luckily he came right in the nick of time, and he was a retired drug dealer. And so I thought, perfect match. So I broke up with my high school boyfriend, obviously, don't need him, and moved, kept it moving right along. And I found that, and I think a lot of people can probably relate to this, there is a story like that in most people's history where you have this relationship that's really deeply intertwined with your drinking and your drugging. It all gets so mixed up in there. And that's just that spiritual malady just desperately seeking something to fix it. And certainly he was not going to be the one to fix me, and I was not going to be the one to fix him, but I wasn't looking to be fixed, I was looking for somebody to be miserable with, somebody to make me feel things I wanted to feel and feel nothing at all other times. And we spiraled so far down together. When you find another alcoholic that drinks like you drink, the places you'll go. I've been reading too much Dr. Seuss at home. Sorry. Should I start rhyming now? My daughter's like, Mom, I know. Does vanilla and chocolate rhyme? I'm like, no, it doesn't. We're still working on it. So, yeah, it got really crazy, and I don't want to take up too much time with it, but I will tell you by the end we had, stolen everything we could get our hand, anything that wasn't nailed down. I was like best friends with the place you can go buy, sell gold, whatever, getting Christmas cards from that guy. And my parents are like, why is this guy sending this to our house? I'm like, I don't know. And my boyfriend was like a little concerned about my drinking, which was really funny because he's, a retired drug dealer. I thought it was really ironic that he was so worried about my, because I will take things even one step further than another person. Like, I can't even do it to his level. Even though he's drinking like me, like, I'm still going to lie to him and do it like 10 times more. And I'm going to do it with like another guy, And my parents thought at this time I had dropped out of college, but then like re-enrolled at Abington so my parents could keep an eye on me, and I was living at their house again. And they thought I was like going back and forth to college every day, but really I knew there was a tracker on my car, so I would like take the tracker, leave it on my car, drive to Abington, stick it, because it was magnetic, on a metal trash can at the Abington campus, and keep it moving right on down to Kensington. And that's what my day looked like every day. And my parents were like, good job going to class every day. I'm like, I'm great. They thought there was something surely wrong with me, but they didn't know what it was. My boyfriend was really worried about me, but he was really busy because he had gotten someone else pregnant while we were together. So like, he had his hands full, I loved him so much. You have no idea. And by the end, him and I like ran far away as far as we could go. And there were treatments in between. You know, I'd been dropped off at rehab a couple of times. One time because he was like, I'll leave you if you don't go. I'm like, okay, I'll go. And I just like go just to get people off my back, not because I want a solution, because I didn't even know there was one. You know, I didn't know. I thought it was like a temporary respite for the time when you couldn't do the things you wanted to do. Might as well be comfortable and like not have other responsibilities. I'll go, whatever. My parents will send me to a nice cushy place. I'll go. And so there were a couple times like that, and I would go and I wouldn't listen to anything, and I'm sure there was a message being carried into those places. I just was unable to hear it at that time. And I don't know what changed between then and the end, but I ended up in Florida living in a beautiful apartment right on the water that I was paying for with stolen money. Priorities, right? You know, like so sick. And I was like pretty tapped out, you know. I had asked PNC for like a personal loan. I had zero credit and I had no job and never had one. And they were like, no, we're not gonna approve your personal loan for $10,000. And I was like, it's really important that I retrieve these funds. And after they declined that, I was pretty much thinking, like, this is it. You know, it was that jumping off place that we talk about. I can't picture my life going on the way it's going on, but I don't have an alternative that I can come up with. Didn't know, didn't have faith. Not that I didn't know, didn't have faith in a program that was here the whole time. I do want to jump back a little bit because I always forget to mention one of those times that I was living with my parents. And when I say living with my parents, I mean like one of the times I failed to succeed at living on my own or somewhere I was supposed to be, and I would end up back at my parents' house intermittently taking drug tests that I would be cheating by buying urine from somebody I know's 12-year-old child, because I don't know any adults that are going to have clean urine. I have to get it from their child. And I will keep that warm under my bed for weeks at a time, okay? Like, the dysfunction is real, and yes, it is disgusting. I was willing to go to any lengths at that time to keep my drinking going. But at one of those junctures, I was living at my parents' house, and my parents were making me come to AA because they'd heard in a family program somewhere that it was a really good idea if they enforced or had boundaries, and that I should come to a 12-step program. I thought it was stupid and a waste of time, and I was living in Doylestown, and my parents dropped me off at a meeting. It wasn't this one, obviously. And I met this group of women, and they really carried me, you know. I wasn't sober, and I don't want to pretend like I got sober from that experience, but for the very first time I was exposed to the big book, and a group of women sat me down and read the doctor's opinion. And for the very first time in my life, I heard in a book what was wrong with me. And that was powerful, very powerful. Not enough to like be interesting, you know, at the time, but enough for me to perk up and say, that's way too familiar to be coincidental. Weird that they're describing me in a book about alcoholics. You know, maybe there's something to that. And yeah, I had this experience, and these women were a beautiful example of grace and dignity and what we do in this program and this fellowship, and they showed up for me, and they'd take me to meetings, and I'd really experienced some trauma while I was out there. I mean, I know that word, like that word, it's 2026 and we throw that word around a lot, but like we see some stuff, you guys, like really, like I promise you, like if you have experienced something that like feels terrible and shameful and scary, and I have been there, and you know, see me after the meeting, but those experiences were hanging heavy on me. I was carrying around a lot of shame, and a lot of fear, and really didn't know what to do. And these women were so gracious with me. And I think they probably knew, because I was sleeping through these big book studies, that I wasn't doing so well. But they continued to show up for me. And like I said, I didn't hang around, but one of those women said, hey, I work at this treatment facility. It's out in Lancaster. Why don't I get you in there? And I said, okay. So I remember my sponsor at the time. I use the word sponsor loosely because she was really just somebody I expected to like drive me around. I completely missed the point. I didn't know. I just thought sponsor was like, oh, you like, is it like a sponsor, like a sports sponsor? Like you're gonna like fund my activities and you're gonna drive me places? Like I didn't know. I knew she was cool. I knew she was nice. I knew she had sobriety that looked attractive, but like for her, not for me. And she drove me out to Lancaster. I think at that point my parents were like, whatever, somebody take her, you know. My God, can you imagine how scary as a parent? Like, oh my God, I know there's other parents in this room that have experienced this. I just, like, I guess I've got a couple more years to think about it, but so scary. I'm sure my parents didn't want to, like, cut me off and disown me, but what choice did they have? You know, it was the best thing they ever did for me. So I ended up in Lancaster, and after a couple of false starts, I had nowhere to go, and my person there, what do you call it, like my counselor, she said something really powerful to me, and I don't know if she's in this program or not, but the principles that we talk about here are so universal and so beautiful, and this woman must have just been really tapped in, and she said surrender. And that word lives in me today. You know, we talk about it in the steps. Maybe not with that exact word, but we talk about it a lot in the steps. Surrender and give it over to God. And it was a God I didn't believe in, you know. And I said, okay. And she said, so I'm going to send you out to this recovery house. I said, okay. I went there and I said, nope, never mind. And I left. But you know what? I had this seed of willingness. I had nowhere else to go. I was just like too good for that place, you know what I mean? Like, I'm homeless, but I'm too good for that place. And I had like my trash bag of like clubbing clothes with me. Like, what am I doing? And no money. I remember I worked 3 overnight shifts so I could have enough money to get into another recovery house because all my friends from rehab were going to this other place. And that place was York, PA. And that is the last time I've ever desired to move to York, PA in my life. Like I said, beautiful place to get sober. I mean, I'm going to say right now, I could not have been more fortunate to have wound up there. And maybe that was God working in my life then. I don't know. That's not really for me to say. That's where I wound up. And I got into this recovery house with this group of women that were so enthusiastic about this program, had sponsors, were doing the thing, were taking suggestions. And there were rules there, and I do pretty well with, you know, like, no, I don't, never mind. I mean, I always, like, think I do, right? Like, I'm always, like, rehab president for 24 hours until I'm like, sure, I'll sneak you in, whatever, on the sundry run, you know? Like, I'm, like, the idea is good, you know, my intentions are usually good, and we talk about that too. Our intentions are usually good. I just can't execute them because I'm not a principled person when I get here. Very, very sick. And I found a sponsor like right away, you know. It was one of those things where I started moving my feet without the belief that this would work. But I saw that everyone else was doing it, and there is power in that, in the group. You know what I mean? I'm a very firm believer in, you know, getting results from action, not what we think. If I take the actions, I will get the results. It has continued to be true in my life. Even when my brain tells me some crazy stuff, I show up to my home group. I have service that I need to be doing at my home group at all times. I don't know how to say I need to be in the center of AA. I'm a person that knows that about themselves. Maybe you're somebody that doesn't feel that way, but I am a person that has always known since I got sober and came to AA that I need to be in the center of this thing. So that's what I did from the very beginning. I got very, very lucky, and I had a sponsor that showed me, she didn't just tell me, how to be a woman of grace and dignity in this program. Single mom, raising this tiny little baby, going to school, in her, like, about 1 year sober, I think, first year of sobriety, second year of sobriety, making it happen, you know? And she would say things to me like, can you meet me here at this time? I'd be like, I don't have a car. She'd be like, cool, walk. And I'd be like, okay. Man, they don't do it like that anymore. We're getting soft. I mean, like, I'm getting soft. I'm just like, okay, I'll come and get you. Like, cause like, I want people to feel included and like, they can like get where they need to go. But like, man, I wasn't raised like that. It was like, you better be at a meeting every day. And I was. She told me how to be in service. She showed me how to be a responsible person. And she taught me the principles of this program by taking me through the book one step at a time. That's what we did. Jumped right into things. My life changed so drastically, so quickly. Some people like really shrink when I say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. It is my experience that the length of time it takes you to go through your steps is not a reflection of your sobriety. I was taken through the steps in, I wanna say 3 months, because I needed it. I was gonna die if I didn't get a solution from the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. My sponsor knew this. She took me through the steps quickly and efficiently. She made sure I understood the first 164 pages of the book. She held my hand when I needed my hand held, and she was firm with me when I needed a little bit of a talking to. But life goes on, right? There's life outside of AA. What amazed me was so quickly that despite the lack of faith that I had, I prayed and I got results, you know, and I connected to something that I couldn't understand. And it's a beautiful thing to say that understanding has grown and changed over the last 13 years and continues to. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I have the answers. I kind of feel like I'm doing a little bit of a like Benjamin Button action. I'm going like backwards a little bit here right now, and not in a bad way at all. Like, I feel like the longer I stick around, the less I feel confident that I can tell you I know about God. And I feel very, very happy to tell you that. You know, if I told you I knew, what seeking would I need to do? I am a person that needs to continue to seek, and I try to do that. I love the name of this group. It's a great group name. I think that for me, God appearing in my life, it is that conscious contact that I rely so heavily on to live a life today that doesn't cause harm to other people. To me, my spirituality, I mean, it's personal to everybody. I'm certainly not here to tell anybody else what's right or wrong for them. For me, what it looks like a lot of times is a quiet little voice in my head. I know the one. And I know when it's not the one, too. When I'm doing the work I'm supposed to be doing. I know when it's not the one. And when I hear that little voice in my head, not like the crazy voice, like I've had the crazy voices too, like, you know, like I've done the kind of drugs that give you the crazy, it's not that kind. It's the kind that tells you like, hey, you're feeling really frustrated right now. You really want to react emotionally in this situation. That's going to cause harm in this situation. These people have dealt with your BS enough. Let's take a step back and revisit this later. Okay, that's what it kind of looks like in my life today. Because I have real life problems, you know? I have a beautiful, beautiful life today that is a result of going through the steps and being in the middle of this program. But I'm living a very real life, you know? I am amazed at how little my life today has to do with alcohol or drugs. I think that was the first thing that shocked me in that first year of recovery. And I was sponsoring women at like 5 months sober, you guys. Like, I know some people are like, what? And I'm like, I was on fire for this thing. On fire for a feeling of purpose, a feeling of wholeness, a sense of direction that I'd never had before. How could I not do my responsibility and carry that message to others? It was told to me to do so in the book. It doesn't say, hey, wait until you're a couple years sober, then think about helping somebody else. It doesn't say that. It told us to get to work when we got to step 12, okay? And so that's what I did. I didn't have a lot of opinions about it because I didn't know to have opinions about it. Now I'm like old and have opinions about stuff, you know what I mean? But I got to work, and by doing that, you know, like, I found this incredible breath of fresh air where the thing that consumed my daily life, how to get more, how do I get enough to get right, how do I get money to get a ride with this person, to go on this quest to Philadelphia, to go sell some DVDs at FYE at the mall, and then pay from there from somebody else to take me over here, just so I can function for the last 30 minutes of my day. That was all my life revolved around for this window of time. And then I got sober here, and I woke up one day, and I was going through the steps, and I realized that I hadn't woken up thinking about a drink in days. And that blew my mind, okay? I had never experienced that kind of freedom. And the beautiful thing about it is that it's so far beyond, this program takes me so far beyond being free of alcohol and drugs. It takes me to freedom of self. I cannot be weighed down by self and function well and happily in this world. It just doesn't go well. You can ask my husband, okay? It's just the truth for me. This alcohol thing has very little to do with the problem that I experienced as an alcoholic, right? So I need to be taking these principles in all of my affairs, you know, these principles that I've learned here, how to be a real human being. Basically, I grew up here. I got sober when I was 21 years old. I had never taken a legal drink before, and I took it into all my affairs. Alcohol is no longer something that I fear. It's neutral to me. We talk about that in the promises. Alcohol lives in a shelf on my house, as a matter of fact, because my husband likes to have a drink after work some days. And who am I to tell him how to live his life? That, you know, that has nothing to do with me. I forget that it's there most of the time, you know? I will tell you, when I was 6 months sober, I was promoted to bartender at my very first big girl job that I was showing up to. And I asked my sponsor, like, should I be being a bartender right now? I can't even taste the drinks. And she said, if you stay close to the middle of this thing and keep God close to you, there is no reason you shouldn't go somewhere you have business to be, okay? And at that time I did, and the business was, hey, become reliant on God and trust that He will provide, okay? And that had, you know, money sometimes comes into play. I wanted to live and eat, and I had a lot of amends to pay, okay? I needed a job, and I could make more money bartending than I could being a hostess, for sure. I took that job. I never once thought about drinking it. I'm sure my drinks were terrible, okay? I know they were terrible because the only way I know how to make a drink is super stiff, okay? I'm just the guys there were like, I like when she's on. They probably tasted terrible, but they were strong. You know, and what can I say? You know, that was, 12 years ago. A lot of things happened between then and now. And what I really wanted my whole life was to have a normal life. I wanted to know how to be normal. How do people do it? How do people wake up in the morning and go to work? How do they feel that they can be responsible for themselves and others? How can they be kind to other people? How can they be considerate? I've been too busy thinking about myself my whole life to do those things. And because of this program, I'm living what is beyond my wildest dreams because it's so normal of a life. It's incredibly normal. It's pretty boring, but in the very best way. Like, I say that with complete gratitude. You know, that is what I wanted so desperately. I'm married with 2 beautiful kids and, you know, a family that loves me. I've made amends and I continue to try to practice these principles in all my affairs. I fall short all the time. I am really, really good though. I know what my strengths and weaknesses are. I definitely have my weaknesses. We don't have enough time, okay? So I'm not gonna drag those on, but I will tell you one of my strengths has been looking at that 4 and 4 we talk about in the book and looking to say, you know, where have I been falling short today? And how can I make that right today? I don't let these things go anymore. You know, I'm able to come back home to Doylestown, and I dropped my husband and my kids off at my parents' house, and that's such a crazy thing. I wasn't allowed in their house for so long, and now my parents are like, well, they don't want to see me. They want to see my kids, but that's fine too, you know? Healthy, happy kids. I've been blessed beyond measure. I'm so glad I didn't get what I deserve. I have been just incredibly lucky to have wound up in this program and really have it take root in my life in all areas. And I always end by letting people know, like, if I was full of it, you know, and I really wasn't having a great time here, if I wasn't having fun here, if I wasn't having the experience I'm describing to you here, I wouldn't be here telling you about it, okay? I'd be out doing what I was doing before. I promise you that. This wouldn't be my first stop on a Saturday night. So thank you so much for having me.
Let's thank Alyssa one more time. Thank you for coming in. Moral of the story is, if you can't get sober in Doylestown, go to York, right?
Yeah.
It's customary for us to form a line and thank our speakers personally. They come here at their own time and expense, and hang out after the meeting if you'd like. There's always something going on, and if you're struggling with anything, come see us. We got a lot of, what can I say, not only information, but a lot of motivation to push you. Because if you're, just like Alyssa's talking about, you come in the door and you don't have the energy or drive or even the vision of what it can be. And it can be a lot, and it can be beautiful. And get around people like that. Get around positive people that are living this program. Because it's far more than just not drink and make a meeting. Anyway, we got a nice way of closing. Let's say a little, take a moment of silence. Do with it as you like. And if you care to join us, we'll end with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Good job. That's a wrap. Thank you, Jason, for all you do. Hopefully you're listening to this on YouTube. What do you